laughter long before it reached my ears. It crawled through the walls, slithered down the hallway, dripped into the cracked room where I sat alone, counting failures like prayer beads. Every chuckle was a nail tapping on hollow bone, reminding me that hope had fled, that faith had packed its bags, that I was the public rehearsal for a private catastrophe. I had nothing left but skin stretched over bruises and a pulse that ticked out of spite. I tasted metal when I breathed. Hunger gnawed my ribs until the cage rattled. Sleep? A myth. My mattress was concrete, my blanket the damp stink of abandoned promises. I woke choking on names they called me. Loser, waste, easy target. My lungs refused to inflate without permission. My hands shook so hard the mirror looked drunk. I memorized the cracks on the ceiling while the world below celebrated my expiration date. Pain became wallpaper. It covered every inch of the room and still found space to spread. I listened to water drip from a rusted pipe. Each drop counted down to nothing. They said I was finished, said the fire was out, said the last beat of my heart would be a whimper, not a roar. They handed me defeat like a family heirloom. I almost took it. Then the night cracked. Not with thunder, but with a thought so sharp it sliced the silence in two. I refuse. My heart lurched, startled by its own defiance. That was the first turning point. Something old died in that room. The pity, the begging, the desperate stare toward rescue that never came. I buried it under the concrete floor with my last apology. Rage crawled out of the grave before the dirt settled. It was not loud, it was precise. A silent scream that tightened every tendon, locked every joint, burned every vein. I watched the mirror as a stranger stepped forward, eyes raw, jaw set, ready to rend the world that labeled him prey. The second turning point. I broke the glass with my fist and let the shards baptize me red. I trained in dead hours. When streetlights flickered like dying stars, I lifted broken cinder blocks until my shoulders hissed. Every repetition was a court order served to weakness. I sprinted alleys littered with bottles that cut my soles, felt gravel grind into flesh, kept running. Blood wrote new boundaries. Discipline arrived cold and merciless, and I shook its hand with cracked knuckles. I fasted until my stomach gnawed itself silent. I read until letters bled together and still flipped pages. I memorized the taste of solitude. Discipline demanded dues each dawn. Push-ups until my vision blurred. Squats until the concrete melted. Breaths held until darkness crept at the edges. No coach, no anthem. A lone drumbeat beating behind my sternum. They partied above me. I heard the muffled thump of bass, the clink of glasses, the easy laughter of people who believed sunsets belonged to them. I kept count of every cheer, every toast to my downfall, forged them into iron filings swirling inside my ribs. I promised the night sky I would pay them back with compound interest. The city forgot me. Good. Ghosts train best where living eyes can't interfere. I shadowboxed in tunnels, kicked at pillars until dust rained like ash. Discipline cut me open and stitched me shut with barbed wire. My reflection shrank into a silent silhouette trailing behind, unable to keep pace. Rebirth waited at the end of a long corridor of agony. I crawled through it on elbows cracked and bleeding. Heat pressed against me like a furnace door. Inside, every soft part melted. Bone glowed white. Sinew fused into chain. Smoke filled my throat and I inhaled it like oxygen. I stood, a silhouette of embers. That was the third turning point. The room no longer held me. I held the room. I walked streets that once swallowed me and felt them tremble. Strangers stepped aside, confused by the gravity bending around my steps. Old acquaintances blinked, trying to reconcile rumor with reality. I spoke little. Words cost energy, and I spent nothing on cheap currency. Let them study the silence. Let them calculate what storm gestates behind closed lips. The past came begging. Memories of softer days tried to crawl back, wearing masks of nostalgia. I throttled them. Comfort was the assassin in silk. I kept my blade pressed to its throat. Domination called me to the peak at nightfall. Skyline glittered below like glass shards scattered across black velvet. Wind cut my face. I bared my teeth and tasted triumph. I remembered the dripping pipe, the laughter, the cracked ceiling, all fuel, all kindling. I raised my scarred hands to the sky and closed them into fists so tight the stars flinched. Fourth turning point, no more specter. I was substance storm sovereign. They said I would lose. Let history record how wrong they were. I do not simply win. I erase the concept of opposition. Competition is a myth told to children. In my realm there is only one pulse, and it drums in my chest. I am the blade forged in all their doubt, tempered in nights without mercy, quenched in the blood of surrendering fears. Now I hunt victory like a predator without natural enemy. I stalk dawn before it yawns, drag it screaming into new day. I eat challenge raw, I drink consequence neat. Fear flags me down, I ride it bareback into battle. Destiny lost the map. I burned it and carved new roads beneath my feet. I see their faces when I arrive, eyes wide, lips parting, souls shrinking. They recognize nothing of the hollow boy they discounted. They see iron walking. They smell smoke. They hear the echo of bones breaking beneath resolve and know they cannot match the sound. I do not negotiate. I do not retreat. I do not pause the storm to ask if bystanders brought umbrellas. I am weather. I am verdict. I am the roar after the gavel falls. Every breath now is a declaration of ownership. I own the darkness that birthed me, the pain that taught me, the rage that drove me, the discipline that sculpted me, the rebirth that unveiled me. I own the horizon because nothing beneath it owns me. I climb still, higher, hungrier. Summit crumbles under my stride. Let it rattle windows. Walls built on comfort cannot withstand my shadow. Sleep is a brief ceasefire. I wake gripping nightmares by the throat. The world seeks balance. I am imbalance incarnate, a tilt toward relentless forward motion. Mercy is a language I unlearned. Pity is a relic I shattered. Only momentum remains, roaring in every sinew. The weak version of me is soil now, nourishing the roots of towering intent. Blades glint where petals once would have. I water them with sweat and let them drink every doubt cast in my direction. Silence is my sword. Unsheathed, it slices through crowds louder than any speech. Let them wonder what storms swirl behind motionless lips. Let them tremble at questions I refuse to answer. I feel destiny's pulse beneath my heel. Each step compresses toy kingdoms into dust. I am not here to fit history. I am here to hammer it into new shape, brand it with scars, make it scream my name across ages. They thought I would lose. I thank them. Their doubt was scaffolding. I climbed it. Their laughter was rope. I braided it into whips for discipline. Their silence was soil. I sprouted thorns. Their predictions were chains. I wear them now as ornaments. I stand on the rubble of their certainty. I plant a flag forged from every night I nearly bled out alone. It flaps black against the sky, stitched with a single word that outlives echo. Rise. Let this be the final tremor inside their comfortable walls. When they whisper bedtime stories about impossible ascent, they will speak of mine. They will warn children not to doubt the quiet ones, the broken ones, the ones buried too early. Because graves are merely tunnels if the soul inside refuses to stay down. I stride into storms, lightning retreats. I welcome thunder, my heartbeats already sound the same. I inhale chaos, exhale order of my own design. I do not chase crowns, I forge them. I do not beg gates, I rip them from hinges. I do not follow paths, I carve them through stone with barefoot perseverance. I was the future failure. Now I am the standard nightmares measure themselves against. And I am not finished. I will never be finished. Finishing is for stories told by safe firesides. I am uncorked horizon to horizon. They thought I would lose, so they lost the chance to keep pace when I rose. I rise still, higher each breath, a perpetual sunrise nobody invited but everybody must witness. I pierce clouds with unstoppable intent. There will come a final heartbeat one day, but it will not be surrender. It will be the detonation that seeds galaxies with the example of relentless ascent. Until then, I consume doubt and excrete destiny. Remember this sound, the silence after their laughter died, the gasp when I stepped through the fire unburned, the thunder when my footfall shook the ceiling of their expectations. I rose, I rise, I will keep rising, until the word loses meaning and only movement remains. And when the universe turns the lights off, I will strike the match with my teeth and blaze on.